welcome to another one of our Off the Lip speaker sessions. Yeah, as you know, we do these sessions every Thursday here at the Green Room, so we're really happy. I'm really happy this week to introduce Lithakazi, one of our long-term members. Born and bred, Eastern Cape. I just want to mention actually that I did briefly interact with Litha when she was at her old office. I popped my head in asking if anyone had a lighter. No one had a lighter anyway, but she laughed as beautifully then as she does now in the green room. So we're actually really excited to hear about your journey, about the things that you've learned. So everybody, round of applause for Litha.
So first of all, I'd like to ask, who actually is aware of what a phlebotomist is? By show of hands. Okay, so some people had to Google it. So basically what I used to do was I was a medical technician. So I was responsible for putting people with needles. Yeah, so some people saw me in the bandwagon. I was told that multiple times. Anyway, so that is the intro of what I used to do. Back to where I started. So I'm from Litha in a very small market called Kwazakhele. It's predominantly black, so majority of the people that are from there suffer from poverty. So it was a very distinct environment to grow up in. It's still the people that are from there are very educated, and growing up in this area and then finally was quite interesting because no one has hope or any sense of normality. But I actually, being the first born daughter of single mother, not even to come over from the son, so she actually brought us in a program that would actually offer a student and then my uniform was and also the service. So there was a bit of, I think, care that was taken into my journey that I had to and growing up with that, I always knew that I would have to tell you one concept of my entire family because everyone looked at me. So the first time we actually finished school, get higher education, and actually get a job that was well paid enough so that I moved in at home. So in 2016, I started studying electrical engineering. I hated it. I hated it. I was studying at a local college, and everyone used to drink me every day because everyone there was there because, you know, the positive ways actually spend time, or in a sense get some form of education. No one actually wanted to be there, and because of that environment, I was like, I'm gonna. And I remember one person actually gave me an application to sign up for learnership for phlebotomy technician. And at first, I actually had no idea what phlebotomy is, like everyone. And I was like, okay, what is this? And they're like, it's an opportunity for you to actually kind of expose yourself to new environments. So I applied. There's no hopes of getting in, so I got in. And the program is 2 years, and what they do is they take you to Cape Town for the theory, and then you stay there for about 8 months. Then you go back home with the intention of getting training for about a year. So after the training, the idea is that you get placement from where you come from. So basically, I stayed there for about 8 months, went back home for a year, and started doing my practical. And I remember in the course of that year, I had confided in my boss, the state of the environment was a part of back home. And after the year was over, instead of giving me papers, she was like, you know what, I'm not gonna give you papers in front of this business because I think the genes should figure them out based on my life. And I was so devastated. Oh my gosh, how am I gonna take care of my family? Because if I have to go and live somewhere else, then there's the responsibility to rent, to do anything. But if I live for like for one of these reasons, whilst over you lose 90% of myself in that. couldn't really about it, so I would use the break the stick with the stick on the thing. But cleaning so it's perfectly really wrong. And I moved here 2019, 1819 PC, and when I started working there, this case took me out. It was so quiet. It was so quiet because I remember it was like on Sunday, we'll walk around, especially during COVID. No one was there, so it was completely closed. And no one could find my body. Yeah. And I remember I was like, oh, what is my body gonna do? And I think for a second time I was so lucky. And if anyone would like touch me and I didn't know that they were behind me, I'd be like freaked out because I was just like constantly scared. But anyways, about this and I remember during COVID was everything and I was done and no one was saying anything. And at the time I think I was a little bit mentally. And I was like, I'm gonna stop doing like people that think I was kind of in the I don't know. But he was so busy, and I was like, I'm gonna start something, because at that particular time I felt stuck. I was at a job where I was doing what I was supposed to be doing in terms of taking care of my family and everything else, but I felt stifled, I will say. So I started coding, teaching myself how to code, because I saw an ad on YouTube that was like, you want to be a software developer in 6 months, join our course. That was in 2020. I got my first internship in 2024, so it didn't actually work. So I joined the course, and I remember I did HTML, CSS, and a little bit of JavaScript. And during that, I think that was about a year, I was like, oh, this is so exciting. I was very much excited for getting the new skill and also learning how to do this. And I was like, okay, what better way to actually be more knowledge within the field? So I started teaching people for free. So I was teaching people how to code. I decided I'm going to start a business as well. So I started building websites with no code. I hated it. So props to the people that do it, but I never. I started teaching people, and I think I was spending so much time preparing for classes for other people, and I was like not necessarily investing in myself in terms of learning. And I decided I'm gonna stop the whole thing. I'm gonna start with business. I'm gonna start with teaching. And I was like, I'm gonna get a job. So okay, so the best way to get a job is to kind of get in contact with people who are doing what I want to do. So I was like, okay, let's look at conferences. Start creating. So conference in Cape Town. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go there and maybe possibly meet my potential employer. So I went to Cape Town, and when I got there, it was like this big corporate event. Actually, people that were there were sent by companies, and I was the only person that actually came there by themselves. And everyone had like a name tag with like their name and also the company. And mine said, Sikwana, none, because I didn't have the company that I was presenting. I remember people would look at my thing like, oh, my company is none. Well, I can split. So I remember at one point, actually, one of the guys was like, look, I could introduce you to my brother, and he does consulting with vehicles. And he set up a Zoom call the next day. So I met up with him. And at the time in my GitHub, I had like a to-do list. Right? It was a JS to-do list. And I was like, okay, this is going to give me a job. And the guy looked at my GitHub and was like, oh no. You are definitely not worthy of being hired at the moment. And I remember hearing that, and I was like, oh gosh, my entire world's like, this is over. I can't do this anymore. Anyways. So I started coding, I think, for about, close to a year, because I didn't necessarily feel like I was going to get good at it at that time. And because I had spent a lot of time actually being so excited about it previously, and I was telling everyone, I don't care what your age is, if you're a child, when I would meet a new patient, I'd be like, oh yeah, this is what I'm doing, so what do you do? So it was a conversation starter. A lot of people were very surprised by it because I was in the medical field looking to transition into tech. And I was like, why though? You could like do something within the realm of what you're already doing. I said, no. I remember one patient was like, so how's the coding going? And at the time I had stopped because I was like, I can't do this anymore. And I lied. I was like, oh, it's going great. It's great. But I'm struggling to kind of find people where I could, talk to that are in the industry here in Jeffreys Bay. So I'm thinking maybe I should move to TikTok. And then he was like, there's the green room. You could go to the green room. And then I was like, what's the green room? And I remember I got here because he had shown me how to get there. I got here and I fell in love with the stairs. I couldn't stop hiking the stairs. I remember that I would stop doing my nails. I sell my hippies just so that I could join this environment. And she actually organized me to start closing. So I remember when I started doing that, I had to actually now transform and actually start having a routine, because now I had to go to gym in the morning, so I wake up at 5. So from gym I would go to work, so I would walk to work and then come back from work during my lunch, come here so that I could close a little bit, then go back, and then I think at 5 I'd come here so that I could close up here and code from like 6 until around 10, and then I'd go home. So that was my routine, I think for about almost, a little bit more than a year. So I was doing that constantly because of the commitment that I had in the green room. It forced me to be more committed to getting better every day and improving my skill. So I remember I had this post I would have on my phone, at the back of my phone, it would say, I'm going to be a software developer. And then it says, I am a learner. So every time I feel stuck, I'd remember that this is a learning journey, and every day I have to get better. It doesn't matter if I try to solve a function or something, as long as I was putting in the effort. So that was my constant, like every single day. And what was nice about it was because I was in an environment where a lot of people were actually doing what I was wanted to do. I could, ask students to teach a person that's all that. So I kept on studying and see, okay, who's doing this? And I remember I would see like a person and it would say front end, but I was like, okay, just introduce me to this person, because I was so inspired by like walking around here, and then I'd see someone scream, and then all I could see was code, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that could be me one day. So it kept me going in a way, and I constantly had to kind of look for other resources that I could, get. I found, it wasn't really free, but I found this whole community where they actually train you to get ready for anything. So it's called Tungu. So it's a free community that you can go and you can like projects to go, and then you come like meeting up with a team. There's like project manager, all of that, and it's just people who have the same ambition, just linking together to try and get better at this skill that they're trying to get better at. And I joined that with the hopes that I would actually, have or be better as a developer. And I got to a point where I was like, coding with people in Afghanistan. I had a friend in India, Seattle, Morocco, France. I had one of these people that were part of my group that if there were cases that I would never actually go. Okay, let me not say her. I never say her. But it was inspiring to actually think of one of these people who have kind of the same ambition and the same goal that you have as well, and you're working all together to try and get to a point of getting employed or getting better as a freelancer for some people. And I think throughout the entire journey, it kind of solidified the belief for me, whereas no one is self-made. I'm the people self-made because it all comes down to a community that you kind of build, where another person could give you advice, another person could, spend time trying to get you out of a rut of some sort, and another person could give you a resource of some kind just to get you to a point where you're one step closer to what you're trying to get to. So yeah, and I'm extremely grateful because the green room was like a great source of, that support for me. And yeah, it's the reason why I am here today. And that's all.
Do we have some questions for our very inspiring friend over here? There's some questions? Yeah, already?
I work for Kwazakhele at the moment. So I'm full stack. Yeah, it's a lot. I think at the beginning I did miss the people component of things, where with my previous job I was like so used to talking to strangers, and now it's like I barely see people. But yes, it's a lot of fun because I get to, I think, use my brain in a different way, which is what I intended in life. So. I think one of the biggest things is having people that support you and try and reach out to as many people that you can that are in the industry, because that's what helps me. Having people that I can ask, why is you are looking like this? I had like one project where I was building a vanilla at one point, and I had spoken to a patient that I had met. I was talking to him as I'm drawing this line. I'm like, I'm building this project, and it's not working. And then he was like, have you tried React? So people that have more experience are able to kind of see where you're going wrong a lot quicker than you're able to. So I think that's my biggest. Oh, it doesn't. Being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Maybe I think it was one time I can seriously remember where I was trying to get my code using my production guys, and I had no idea who they are, but we met like online, and they were all like so smart, and I was like, I remember going to my cousin and I was like, oh my gosh, like I want to do this, like I want them to go to volunteer and all, like I can't, like I'm so scared to be in a place where I'm so hard and I'm feeling like this, and this is what I actually do, which is great. Yeah, so awesome. And I think getting to the point where it doesn't matter how uncomfortable you are, you just focus on being momentum and exposing yourself. It's like cold exposure. If you ever take a cold shower, at first you're standing there and being like, I want to do this. Everything goes, and once you actually go, okay. You kind of get to into a lot of inspired me because I think my sister, because I've paid away in some things where I'm really in my procedure. my girls, she also started a foundation because she's doing psychology. So she started a foundation where she helps teach kids how to read, because that's the pandemic where I'm from, where kids are dropping out before they are able to read or have any educational skill. So she's helping on trying to fix that system. And right now she's at Litha University, and she actually got funding for the NPO that she's actually started. So I have people that feel inspired because of the fact that I was able to accomplish this.
I feel inspired. Definitely. I get so emotional when I think about all the amazing things you've done. Well done.